Yeah.
Okay. One moment, please. Just. Okay. I'll start with the prayer to Vigneshwara. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. नागेन्द्रहाराय त्रिलोचनाय भस्माङ्गरागाय महेश्वराय नित्याय शुद्धाय दिगम्बराय तस्मै नकाराय नमः शिवाय मन्दाकिनी सलीलचन्दनचर्चिताय नन्दीश्वर प्रमथनाथ महेश्वराय मन्दारपुष्पबहुपुष्पसुपूजिताय तस्मै मकाराय नमः शिवाय शिवाय गौरीवदनाब्जवृन्दा सूर्याय दक्षध्वरनाशकाय श्रीनीलकण्ठाय वृषध्वजाय तस्मै शिकाराय नमः शिवाय वसिष्ठकुम्भोद्भव गौतमादि मुनीन्द्रदेवार्चितशेखराय चन्द्रार्कवैश्वनरलोचनाय तस्मै वकाराय नमः शिवाय यक्षस्वरूपाय जटाधराय पीनाकहस्ताय सनातनाय दिव्याय देवाय दिगम्बराय तस्मै यकाराय नमः शिवाय. Har Har Mahadev. And I'll again, as usual, read out the prayer to Lord Vishnu over here. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigna Upasantaye. All done, so? You're on mute.
Who is going to read?
Can I start today?
Okay.
Sorry.
Good.
Okay. Thank you. Seemaji, could you please read once I've done? I'll just take a few pages. That's it. Thank you very much. Okay. Dharma. One day when the lovely Padma was bathing in a lake, Dharma happened to see her and he readily took a fancy to her. He told her, "O beautiful lady, I am the emperor of this world. I am young and romantic, whereas your husband is an aged ascetic. You who are so good looking that even the damsels of heaven cannot bear comparison with you, must realize that you must not waste the few young years of your life. I will see that you have most enjoyable time of your life in my company, and I will make my other queens subservient to you." The chaste Padma was angry with this prattle of the king and replied, "You may be an emperor, but you're the worst of sinners, because you, who should protect the virtuous and punish the wicked, are yourself trying to commit an adulterous crime. My husband is respected by the entire world, and I love and worship him. If you try to molest me, you will be the target of the fire of my imprecation, which cannot be put out, even if the real fire may ever become cold." Frightened, Dharma said, "Mother, actually I'm not a king. I have only come to test your character. Forgive me my folly. Henceforth I shall look upon other women as my mother. I will pray to Lord Shiva for salvation, that benign deity who is the savior of the fallen and the source of the universal energy." Padma was impressed by the sincere contrition of Dharma and told him, "Sir, I mistreated you because of my characteristic feminine frailty. I now understood you. May you grow and decrease in cycles like the moon. You will walk on 4 legs in the age of Krita, on 3 legs in the age of Treta, on 2 legs in the age of Dwapara, and on 1 leg in the age of Kali. Now it is time for me to go back and serve my husband." Uh, okay. Dharma was amazed at her sense of propriety and at her liberality. He blessed her. "May you live in continual bliss with your husband." 107. Uh, yeah. "Whom I now grant youth and longevity. Your husband, in his regained youth, will please you in every way, for he will now be as endowed with long life as Markandeya, as rich as Kubera, as powerfully prosperous as Indra, as wise as Shiva and Vishnu, who treat each other as equals, as knowledgeable as sage Kapila, as pleasing as the full moon, as clever as Angiras, and as all knowing as Brahma." Accordingly, the now youthful Pippalada and Padma spent many glorious years of felicitous married life and had 10 sons. Wise counsel. Then Vashishta spoke to Himvan. "Please make all the arrangements for the wedding of Shiva and Parvati. The auspicious day is the Monday evening in the month of Margashirsha, when all the stars and the planets will be in proper conjunction." Himvan agreed with the advice of the sage. Similarly, Menka also accepted the advice of Arundhati, the wife of Vashishta, concerning the wedding and the wedding arrangements. Parvati bowed to Arundhati and the 7 sages and received their blessings. Himvan told the sages, "Your advice is a command to us, which we cannot disobey. Henceforth, Parvati is the property of Lord Shiva. We will be awaiting Shiva's pleasure. Kindly convey to him our regards." Vashishta complimented Himvan on his wisdom. Himvan, Menka, Parvati, and others gave the sages and Arundhati a fittingly reverential farewell. Returning to Kailash, the sages reported to Shiva in glowing terms about Himvan's acceptance of their proposal and about the hospitality they received on the Himalayas. They also informed Shiva about the fixing of the Muhurta, auspicious moment, and about the seeding of the heart of Parvati as a pre wedding gift to him. Shiva was pleased. When he said that he had no relations in the world, the sages reminded him about the other members of the Trinity and about the lords of the hosts, Indra, who, along with their spouses, would take care of all the wedding arrangements on Shiva's side. Shubhalekha, wedding card. Himvan himself composed the wedding invitation and sent it to Shiva through his son Menaka and his court priest. Before leaving for Kailash, Menaka also took a letter from his sister Parvati addressed to Shiva. Menaka and the priest arrived on the Silver Mount. Shiva received them appropriately when they bowed to his feet. They handed over Himvan's invitation and Parvati's letter to Shiva, who received and read them with great delight. Shiva assured the duo that he would be on Mount Himalaya at the appropriate hour before the auspicious moment fixed for the wedding. Pleased with the success of their mission, Menak and the priest returned to Himalayas after taking their leave of Lord Shiva. Wedding arrangements. The 3 heavenly couples whom Shiva requested to make the wedding arrangements arrived on Mount Kailash and gladly accepted Shiva's orders in that connection. The divine architect Vishwakarma built a magnificent edifice on Mount Kailash for the residence of Shiva and Parvati after their wedding. Lakshmi and Vishnu provided all the valuable household goods. The Pramatha Hods, Sudeshi, the Pramatha Hods decorated the surroundings with um, flowers and festoons. On the eve of his departure for the wedding at Himalaya, Shiva was duly anointed by the chaste ladies. The personified river Ganga, embedded in Shiva's locks, appeared to be enraged. Then Lakshmi and Saraswati pacified her. Here on the Himalayas, the successful return of Menak and the royal priest was greeted with rejoicing and fanfare. Parvati rewarded her mates with many jewels on hearing about Shiva's acceptance of their marriage proposal. Wedding party. Shiva sent word to Himvan that he was arriving for the wedding, accompanied by the other members of the Trinity, the gods, and demigods in heaven and their families. Himvan went forward and greeted them aptly. The capital of the Himalayan kingdom, Ushadi Prasthapura, was filled with the rejoicing and glorifying in the gracing of the mount with the presence of those supreme celestial denizens. Lakshmi and Vishnu, Saraswati and Brahma arrived on their respective mounts, the Garuda eagle and the royal swan. Preceded by Nandi, Shiva arrived on his bull mount. All the heavenly guests were delighted with the respectful welcome they received from Himvan and his party. As the wedding party was entering the Himalayan capital, Shiva's eyes fell on the shrine wherein the idols of Ram and Sita were consecrated. Getting down from his mount, Shiva walked up to the temple and saluted the divine couple, who appeared to be greeting Shiva in their corporeal form. Sita and Ram blessed the bashful bridegroom. The onlookers were impressed with Shiva's humility and sense of devotion. When they entered the wedding hall, okay, I've lost it. Okay. When the when they entered the wedding hall, the specially arranged orchestra struck up soulful music, and the dancers and the danseuses uh, began displaying their art with splendid skill. Hearing all that joyous
Why it is jumping?
Sir, problem some on my laptop. I'm just trying
I will
to,
let me screen
yeah.
share.
Actually, when I'm clicking on down, no, it's going page down. Simply.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
I have closed my document. I'll just find my document and
One
screen
second.
share if that's okay.
It's jumping. This size is enough. I mean, whatever I've displayed, 100% it is displayed. Or shall I reduce it?
Yeah, no, this is
This is
fine.
fine, right? You can read
Yeah,
it.
this is fine. But I can screen share for now,
Okay.
if that's okay.
I regret. I mean, I'm not able to control things. But just knowing.
What page number are we on?
We are on page number 110.
110, right?
110, yeah. Began displaying their art.
Okay.
It's one page down, still doing.
Okay, just a second. Could you stop screen share? I'll start.
Yeah.
Is it visible to everybody now? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Began displaying their art with splendid skill. Hearing all that joyous clamor, Parvati wanted to steal a glance at the wedding party from the terrace of her palace. She was followed by her maids who made fun of her for her impatience. Shiva happened to look up at that moment, and his eyes spoke the language of silent communion to the lovingly reciprocating eyes of Parvati. The hearts of the bride and the bridegroom were suffused with indescribable mutual love. How strong is the love impulse that it should do overwhelm when even the divine couple. Bridal makeup. Parvati was given the auspicious bath. Then she was adorned with all kinds of ornaments, studded with every kind of precious stone. As the fully made up Parvati saw herself in the mirror, she found Shiva's reflection instead of hers, saying how he was eagerly awaiting the golden moment of joining hands with her and how he wished he could place a beauty spot on her left cheek, which would add an exotic touch to her preeminently graceful complexion. When Parvati seemed to be enraptured in spite of herself and lost in thought before the mirror, her mates made fun of her, exclaiming how anxious she was to meet her lord. Worshipping the Divine Mother, the pearl studded palanquin was ready for the escorting of Parvati to the temple of Ambika. Menaka led the procession as the chaste ladies and the maids carried the flower baskets and the golden vessels containing the material for consecration and worship. The palanquin bearers set down the palanquin opposite the Ambika temple. The shrine was reverberating with the sound of the chiming bells and the recitation of the sacred scriptural hymns by the priests. Menka and Parvati fell prostrate at the feet of the image of Ambika. The priests then performed the Sahasranama Puja, the chanting of the 1,000 names of the goddess. When the bride broke the coconut on the sacred stone, the fruit was divided into two equal halves, a good omen. After the worship by Parvati, the priests chanted the mantra pushpam and offered nirajanam. Everyone saluted the holy flame and received gratefully and worshipfully the consecrated prasadam, sacramental food, after the successful completion of the entire puja. The wedding of Shiva and Parvati. The auspicious hour of the wedding was approaching. The royal priest Garga and the brother of Parvati, Menak, went up to the lodgings of the bridegroom's party to welcome and bring Shiva to the wedding hall. After the formal welcome by the bride's representatives, the bridegroom's party set off to the palace of Himvan as the demigods held the white canopy over Shiva's head and the Pramathahods shouted the slogans hailing the glory of Lord Shiva. They were preceded by the group of musicians who struck up the band with the wedding march. Menaka and Himvan went forward to greet Shiva and his party. They sprinkled perfumed water on the groom and the guests, and the chaste ladies completed their formal requirements of ceremonial welcome. Menak led Shiva by the hand to the wedding altar. The priest then welcomed Shiva to his seat. Then Parvati's parents and the royal priest went to escort Parvati to the wedding dais. As the bride was approaching the altar, a golden garment was used as a screen, hiding the bride and the groom from seeing each other till the exact auspicious moment of the muhurtam. Uh, the next person, Swati ji, right? Seema ji wanted to read, right? Seema ji can take over, please.
Seema ji, can you also please turn on your camera?
The Pravara episode. Om Namah Shivaya. The Pravara episode, the Pravara, lineage of the bride and of the bridegroom, has to be cited before the wedding takes place. The court priest of the Himalayan kingdom is not aware of the Shiva Pravara. When asked for the information about his Pravara, Shiva merely smiled and kept quiet. The seven sages were disgusted with the ignorance and audacity of the priest. Narada chided the priest. Sir, your question is silly. Don't you know that the source of all creation has no other source except himself? Lord Shiva assumed this physical form because for the benefit of humanity, else he has no need to take birth among us. Indeed, who can understand the mystery of Shiva, immanence or transcendence? Himban was astounded. Vishnu said that Narada spoke the truth. Quite so, said Brahma. The rest of the gods and the sages expressed their approval in similar words. Himban bowed to Shiva and prayed for his forgiveness on behalf of his priest. To make amends, the priest then recited the Shiva Stotra. Paean to Lord Shiva. Shiva was pleased. He placed his feet in a golden plate. As Menaka poured the consecrated water, Himbana washed the feet of Shiva. and then sprinkled the water that dropped from the feet on his head. Similarly, he sprinkled the same water on the head of his wife and his daughter. As a matter of form, Himvan presented Shiva with 4 gold rupees and said, Lord Shiva, I am now offering you my beloved daughter who is entirely devoted to you. In doing so, I am merely returning to you the gift you yourself have granted me. Hereafter, you will be the protector and lover of her till eternity. When the needed formalities, such as placing the consecrated paste on the head of the bride by the bridegroom from underneath the screen, were gone through, the screen spreading the couple was removed. At once they looked into each other's eyes ecstatically and significantly. Now Menak and Himvan stepped aside. Shiva put on the sacred thread and the golden bracelet handed to him by Garga. The Mangal Sutra, sacred necklace with 2 pendants symbolizing the wedded status of a woman, which neither a widow nor a maiden should wear, was passed around the honored guests for their benedictory handling, and returned to Shiva, was tied around the neck of the bride by the bridegroom, to the accompaniment of holy hymns and auspicious music. After the wedding, Shiva addressed the gathering and assured them of his constant protection. He offered suitable gifts to Garga and the Vedic scholars. Wedding feast. As the newlywed couple went around the holy fire, the fire god obediently blessed them. Then Himvana requested the guests to accept his hospitality for the wedding feast. Menak and Himvana went around the guests and entered them to eat the sumptuous fare to their heart's content. Parvati has seated next to Shiva. According to tradition, the woman must not start eating before the husband does so. Shiva was doing nothing. Parvati was at loss as to what to do, as she sent a sigillance towards her husband. He made a sign which suggested that she began eating first. She pointed her finger to his plate to indicate that he should start first. Again, Shiva signaled that she should eat first. Parvati bent her head bashfully and kept quiet. Mentally praying to Sita and Ram, Shiva took tiny morsels of various food items, uttering the prana ahuti's grace. Parvati ate only those items which Shiva did. When Shiva placed a few morsels of choice food in Parvati plate, she ate them as though they were the most consecrated offerings of God. Meanwhile, the cup with the progeny which was near Parvati plate disappeared as she softly asked him how the progeny tasted. He said sour and added that the only sweet thing in the world was in her heart. Once more, Parvati bent her head shyly. Brahma and Saraswati, Vishnu and Lakshmi, and other important guests were observing this love play between Shiva and Parvati with silent good humor. After the wedding feast, the guests went to their respective lodgings to take rest. Shiva and Parvati were seated on a diamond studded throne, exchanging small talk concerning the various phases of their wedding celebration. They were all praised for the hospitality of Menak and Himvan. Appeal. In the meantime, Rati Devi approached Shiva and lamented, Lord, at the behest of Indra and for the benefit of the entire universe, my husband disturbed your panic. Indeed, he was indirectly instrumental in bringing about your union with Parvati. On this auspicious occasion, may I beseech you to restore my husband to me? The assembled goddesses joined Rati Devi in her rightful appeal. Shiva acceded to their request and brought back Manmatha to full life. When Rati and Manmatha bowed to him, Shiva suggested that Manmatha seek a favor from him. Manmatha merely sought forgiveness for his folly. Pleased, Shiva said, Manmatha, fear not, go back to Indra's court and resume your former activities. Indra received Rati and Manmatha with gladness and due honors. When they returned to paradise, good morning. As the auspicious Shehnai music was begun played at dawn, Parvati woke earlier than her husband, as became a devout wife. The harlots of the morning were reciting the hymns sacred to Shiva. Before long, Shiva too woke up. The divine couple then blessed all those that assembled there to worship them, sprawling in the garden. That evening, Shiva and Parvati took a walk in the pleasure garden. The deities of the forest bade them welcome. Along with the flora and fauna, which seemed to flourish with great splendor at the arrival of the blessed pair in their midst. As they sat on a moonstone seat by the side of a lake, the royal swan couple began moving in the water with cadenced, graceful motion. Shiva and Parvati were gratified to see that both in the intimate, animate, and inanimate world were sharing their felicity, unity of Trinity. When they were alone, Parvati told Shiva, Lord, I am unable to delve into the mystery of your action. For example, you, Brahma, and Vishnu look like brothers. Kindly enlighten me to the true relationship between you and the other two. Shiva said, I am glad you want to be informed about this vital matter because this is something which many a wise man is curious about. Actually, God is one. We three are the three facets of single entity. By worshipping any one of us, the fruits of praying to all of us will be enjoyed by the devotees. Brahma is responsible for panic has succeeded and you will be the consort of the Supreme Lord Shiva. Sorry. The creation, Vishnu for the preservation, and I for the extinction and recreation of the species. Similarly, you are like a sister to Saraswati and Lakshmi. Duty of a chaste lady, Pativrata. Earlier, an elderly gentlewoman, Vipra Susevni, formally spoke to Parvati, Princess, there is nothing worth knowing that you yourself do not know. But it is our tradition to remind the bride going to her new home of the duty she has to perform. It is by observing such rules and regulations that the famous ladies of yore, like Savitri, Anusuya, and Arundhati, and their undying renown in this history of great women. You must eat only after your husband does. You must go to bed after your husband sleeps and wake up early than he does. You must always act in a manner acceptable to him and must not retaliate even when he has occasion to reprimand you. You must not stand idly at the main door of your house and must not visit neighbors without obtaining your husband's permission. Nor should you go all alone on a pilgrimage or attend any function or public meeting. You must first concentrate the food to the family deity and serve it to your husband and the guest before you yourself eat. You must regard your husband as your living God and share his joy and grief on all occasions. Parvati promises to abide the sage counsel of the good lady. All the women guests were pleased with Parvati's humility and sincerity. Farewell. On the fifth day of the wedding celebration, Parvati and Shiva were about to set out to Mount Kailasha. Himvan said, Dear daughter, the Himalayas will look barren in your absence. Even the flora and fauna around here seem to be distressed at your leaving us. But I know a woman's place is by her husband's side. We content ourselves with happy fact that your panic has succeeded and you will be the consort of the Supreme Lord Shiva. Be true to yourself and keep up the noble traditions of both clans, your husbands and your parents. Menak said, during darling daughter, in you I saw the fulfillment of all my dreams. I brought you up with the tenderest love. Now I cannot bring myself to live without you in our midst. Yet I know you are going to a new home, which is the highest abode in the universe, physically as well as spiritually. Live up to your noblest ideals and please your husband through thick and thin. Parvati acknowledged the affection of her parent. I am fully aware of the love you have showered on me, dear parents. It is equally painful for me to be parted from you, but my duty is by the side of my husband. I promise to maintain the tradition of our two families to the best of my ability. Himban and Menaka also bade fitting farewell to Shiva and begged him to look after their daughter tenderly. Shiva replied, suitable, and assured them of his constant love for Parvati. Parvati was adorned with the traditional embellishment as befitting the bride leaving for her husband's home. Jaya and Vijaya were sent as companions along with Parvati, with the command of Menaka that they take care of the princess as the eyelids do the eyes. The golden planking was ready. Parvati ascended it, placing the right foot in first. All the traditional bridal materials were placed beside her. Lord Shiva was riding on his bull mount. As Shiva signaled the palanquin barriers to start moving, Menaka kissed Parvati for the last time, and the flora and fauna requested Parvati not to forget them. Parvati reiterated her love for all of them. The denizens of the Himalayan capital stood on both sides of the street as Parvati, Planquin, and Shiva bull passed by and shouted, Hail to Shiva and Parvati. Shiva and Parvati acknowledged their greeting fittingly. Temple of Rama. As the divine couple approached the shrine of Rama, they stepped down and paid their respects to Lord Rama and his spouse Sita. The priests of the temple welcomed them with due honors and offered their blessing on behalf of Rama. As Shiva and Parvati bowed to Rama and Sita, the latter appeared to be seemingly wishing them good luck. To the lookers on, Shiva appeared in the image of Rama and Parvati in that of Sita. The devotees realized that it was all the divine mystery exhibited by Shiva as part of his creational sport, Leela, Silver Mountain. After passing through some lush and luxuriating forest and lovely and limpid lakes, wherein the wedding party performed their diurnal liberations dutifully, they reached Kailasha, the silver mountain, which is the abode of Shiva. The whole hill felt enraptured and seemed to be inwardly grateful to Parvati for having revived the zest for life of Lord Shiva, who was previously much run down physically on account of his rigorous panic. Hearing the bugle calls of welcoming Prathma hordes, the entire Kailasha cried out to the surrounding plant and animal life to be bid enthusiastic welcome to the newly wed blessed couple. As Shiva and Parvati stepped down on the Mount Kailasha, the sun god bade them welcome, and the pious ladies offered them incense and other ceremonial forms of welcome. The silver mountain shone with supernatural splendor as the newly married divine couple and their heavenly guests assembled there and performed their appropriation duties with great eclat. Jaya and Vijaya whispered to Parvati, "This silver mountain excels over Himalayas. Your dreams have come true. All the gossip we heard about this being the home of the indigent is now proved to be baseless." Parvati said, "Yes, oh, how delighted my parents would have been if they accompanied us here. Alas, they must be missing me and grieving for me." At the juncture, Shiva joined them and spoke to Parvati. "Dear, I know you have come here, leaving behind all those good people and your noble parents who have been showering their immense affection on you. I, alre- I already promised your parent to see that you lack nothing to make your body and soul feel contented and delighted in this new home of yours. I swear on all that I hold sacred that I will contribute to your happiness in all circumstances and vicissitudes of life. There, the peacocks are dancing in their full plumage. Let us go and watch them." So saying, he led her to the lonely abode nearby. There they joined the peacocks in a lively dance. Later, bathing together in perfumed water, they returned to the palace. Jaya and Vijaya were overjoyed at the love play of Shiva and Parvati and inwardly congratulated their friend on her good fortune in getting such a deserving spouse. Entering the main assembly hall, which was filled to capacity with the guests, including Lakshmi and Vishnu, Saraswati and Brahma, Shiva entertained, entertained them all with grand hospitality and magnanimity. When the guests returned to their respective homes after taking their leave of Shiva and Parvati, the newlywed retired to their inner scantum, which was furnished with all essential comforts by Nandishvara, who stood guard outside. Shiva ordered Nandi not to allow anyone inside, and the bull goat was standing guard watchfully. As they entered the bedroom, Parvati's right eye throbbed. She was worried about that inauspicious omen. Seeing her uneasiness, the all-knowing Shiva assured her that she need not be afraid of anything. She was encouraged by the fact that her omnipotent Lord would see to it that no harm befell her. When Shiva pressed her to join him in love dance, she willingly did so. As the Kailasha orchestra played leading tunes, the blessed couple kept perfect timing and forgot themselves in the ecstatic entertainment. Outside, Nandi was seemingly stuck with the fact that the tender passion of the love between man and woman moves even the divine beings so inexplicably. Tired after the rapturous dance, the couple went onto the terrace and seated themselves on a moonstone bench. Seeing them engaged in a fond embrace, the star appeared to be bowing there bashfully. Then, eating a few selected fruit and drinking some sweet cow's milk, the couple began to converse in the manner of all the great lovers of the world. Shiva said, "Darling, you are exhausted after all that wild dancing of ours. Come, let us go in and rest on the flower strewn bed." Parvati replied, "Lord, I know that you are proficient in the art of lovemaking. You have also a wonderful gift of the gap. Actually, that flower filled bed is inviting you only." As she was thus joking, two crimson flowers fell at their feet of their own accord. Parvati now lost her shyness and said, Lord, don't you see the bees sucking the honeys in these Mandara flowers are singing love song to us, as though asking us to follow their example of imbibing the honey of love. Don't you feel that this westly Malaya breeze which is exciting our senses? The moon is temporarily hiding behind the cloud. This is the most opportune moment for us to share our flowery soft bed. So saying, she gently pushed her load towards the bed. As Shiva kissed her cheeks, she went a step further and kisses his lips. The whole night was thus spent in an exceedingly joyous love play between the divine pair. Early next morning, Jaya and Vijaya knocked at the door, asking their friend to come out for the morning ablution. But neither Shiva nor Parvati was yet willing to come out of the bedroom. After a little while, Parvati asked Nandi to open the main door. Shiva went out. When Shiva left, Jaya told Parvati, Friend, your hair is disheveled. Your breasts are exuding a peculiar perfume. Your clothes are disarranged. Your eyes are reddish, perhaps for want of sleep. Vijaya said to Jaya, Well, Jaya, don't think that Parvati is all that in- innocuous. She has tasted the full love of Shiva quite willingly. She has stolen the heart of Shiva and would not like to be away from him even for a second. We have landed ourselves in a tough spot because we would not be able to see much of Parvati and enjoy her company. Let us go back to the Himalayas. Knowing pretty well that her mates were only joking, Parvati said, Friends, don't be angry with me. Take these two diamond necklaces, one for each of you. After all, you yourself trained me in the ways of the world. Is it fair that you should now leave me alone here? After a little more horse playing, the two maids took Parvati to the bathroom and gave her a splendid oil bath. After the bath, they attended to Parvati's makeup with meticulous detail. However, they forgot to paint the beauty spot on her cheek. Meanwhile, Shiva came there with a smile on his lip, walking quietly. Seeing him, the two girls silently went out. Shiva came from behind and closed Parvati's eye with his palm. She mistook the gestures as part of her maid's fun making and shouted, Don't you girls know that there is a time for playing the fool and time to be serious? I will report your action to my husband and see that he punishes you. Lord Shiva began to laugh, but strangely realizing her mistake, she shyly hid her head in the arms of her husband, who then embraced her fondly. In such love sports, some days passed by.
Seema
Wise
ji,
word.
sorry,
Thank
Seema ji, can we give a chance to somebody else now?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Naam Namaste.
Rajeshwari ji. Arpita, can you please screen share? I would like to stop it here, if that's okay.
Sure, Lipi, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We are on page 122.
Yeah. Can I start?
One moment, ma'am. Please, Arpita would
Yeah.
share the
1
screen.
second.
And then, yeah. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Can you see the screen, Rajeshwari?
I'm actually reading
Perfect.
from the laptop. No problem.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Wise words. In the meantime, the misdeeds of Taraka were on the increase. The very mention of the name struck terrors in the hearts of people. Unwilling to approach Shiva during his early wedded life, the gods went to Brahma to report to him about their predicament. Brahma himself, unable to deal with their complaint, took them to Vishnu. At Vaikunta, Vishnu was also engaged in love play with Lakshmi, but informed about the arrival of gods. Vishnu went forward to receive them with due honor. The gods appeal to Vishnu. Lord Taraka is increasingly becoming cruel to us day by day. We are unable to approach Shiva because he is preoccupied with his love life. You alone are capable of convincing Shiva about his duty to save us. Vishnu replied, time is like ripe fruit. Either it is quite eatable or it perishes. We have to bide by our time. The love sport of Shiva will last 1,000 years, and then will Kurma Kumaraswamy be born to Shiva and Parvati. He will alone can quell Taraka. So let us not be impatient. Anyway, it is sinful to disturb the new married couple, and I will tell you a story to prove this point. The irritable, is it the one?
Yes, you got it right. The irritable
The
sage.
irritable sage Durvasa once went to meet Indra, while the latter was enjoying the company of celestial courtesans, Ramba, under the shade of Parijata tree. Seeing the approaching sage, Ramba, who was in arms of Indra, was embarrassed and ran away. Indra kept quiet, afraid of curse of Durvasa. But because of his misdeeds, Durvasa's wife died soon after. Durvasa's wife died soon after. The lesson was the lesson we have to learn from this episode is that we must never disturb the lovers engaged in their love play. Be patient. Sooner or later, Taraka's killer will be born to the divine couple. Satisfied with the assurance of Vishnu, the gods and Brahma returned to their respective abodes. 1,000 years passed by. With the ceaseless lovemaking of Shiva and Parvati, the entire earth seemed to be standing still. The atmosphere was devoid of airflow. The celestial region were trembling. There were falling stars and meteors everywhere. Again, the god had to run up to Brahma to seek a way out of their calamity. Again and again, Brahma and others met Vishnu, who escorted them to Kailasa. Nandi was standing guard outside the bedchamber. Vishnu asked him to convey the news of the arrival of visitors to Shiva. Nandi told Vishnu, Lord, I have no right to enter the bedchamber. Forgive me. Vishnu suggested that the gods pray to Shiva with the sacred mantra Namah Shivaya, for thereby the natural benevolent Shiva would come to their rescue instantaneously. Appeal. The gods consecrated the idol of Shiva and worshipped it thus. Lord Shiva, thou art the savior of helpless devotees who seek thy refuge. Kindly live up to thy name, which means the one who does good and grants happiness and save us from the atrocities of Taraka. The naturally tender heart of Shiva melted on hearing the worshipful appeal. He came out of the embrace of Parvati and telling her that he would soon return to her, presented himself before the gods, who then fell prostrate at his feet. Asked for the reason of their visit, the gods reported to him of Taraka's cruelty towards them. Shiva told himself that if he acceded to the request of gods, he would have to displease Parvati and thereby go back on his words to her parents, and that he would never cause her the least little unhappiness. And yet he convinced himself that it was the duty of good men to help others, hith and kin, and that he could anyhow go back to his beloved soon after discharging his duties by the gods. Accordingly, he told the gods, I will release the semen embedded in my conscious self through my power of yoga, but only the god of fire can accept it. At the request of gods, the fire god received the semen by assuming the form of a pigeon. The gods, Brahma and Vishnu, thanked Shiva for his magnanimity. Imprecation. Here, Parvati felt bad omens. Worried, she ran up to her husband. The gods were uneasy about what sort of trouble was in store for them and the world. Even Shiva was fighting shy of greeting his spouse in his characteristic style. Learning about the release of her lord's semen, she was inconsolably dejected. She felt that her lifelong wish had been unfulfilled. Being a chaste lady, she would not reprimand her husband but scolded the gods. You wretched people, have you sacrificed my pleasure? Have you sacrificed my pleasure for the sake of your selfish ends? Don't you know that it is the supreme wish of every woman to be a mother? You who have been instrumental in depriving me of my motherhood, may your own wives become barren. So cursing the gods, she turned to the fire god and cursed him that he should be mere destroyer. So speaking, she took her husband to their bedroom. Lament. Parvati spoke to her husband, Lord, I know you are at the beck and call of your devotees, but was it not to receive your grace that I performed a rigorous penance? Is this the favor you grant me? Are these gods dearer to you than your own wedded wife? What harm have I done you? Are you not aware of the strong wish of women for children of their own? Couldn't you think of some other means of punishing Taraka? At least could you not have confided in me before taking this extreme step? So speaking, she gave herself up to uncontrollable sobbing. Solace. Shiva replied, Dear, I quite appreciate your grief, but please let me remind you of the purpose behind our marriage. Was it not the gods that invoked me to discard my penance and get married? The idea was to see the birth of the killer of Taraka. Such a killer cannot be one who comes from a normal birth through the womb of a woman. My boon to Taraka was that he could not be killed by anyone who comes out of woman's womb. Don't you see that I cannot go back on my words? Indeed, there is none dearer to me than you in this world, but it is the duty of people like us to sacrifice our own wishes for the welfare of people of the others. If we ourselves forsake our duty, would the rest of the world respect its obligation? You are verily the Supreme Mother. Still, I did not want to inform you and face your disappointment before I took the dutiful step of mind. Parvati as became her divine heritage, was duly consoled. She regretted cursing the gods and fire gods. She realized that it was to her credit that she was indirectly responsible for the birth of a son who would save the world from the onslaught of a demon. She sought her husband's forgiveness. As a sign of his forgiveness, Shiva took her into arms. Parvati was ecstatically gratified. The fire god, unable to withhold the semen of Shiva for long, prayed to him for relief. Shiva appeared before him and assured him that before long the semen would take birth and relieve him of his burden. Strange wish. The seven sages, with their spouse seated beside them, began a sacrificial rite. As they were offering the oblation to fire god, his mind was attracted to wives of sages. Verily, such mental aberration preceded the fall of men. However, the fire god was hesitant to express his amorous wish to the wives of sages directly. Lust is an inexorable instinct, else would it bind such an individual as fire god to propriety? Unable to bear the heat of his passion, the fire god wished to take his own life, and with the aim walked up to stream. At that juncture, his sagacious wife, Swaha Devi, successively assuming the form of sage wives, with the exception of that of unimpeachable Arundhati, fulfilled the wish of her husband. At that same time, Swahadevi was herself unable to hold for long the semen of Shiva, which was deposited in her through her husband, and so released it on the white mountain, Shvetadri. The mountain was uncomfortably stirred by the heat of that semen, and at the behest of air god to whom it prayed, it threw up the semen into nearby Ganges. Ganga too could not tolerate the force of semen and sprinkled it out in the Darba jungle, birth of Kumaraswamy, Skanda. In the course of time, the semen of Shiva developed into a viable fetus. At last, on the sixth day of the bright fortnight of the month of Margashirsha, at dawn, it was born as a child who was resplendent like the sun, with 6 heads and 12 hands to accompaniment of Vedic chants and the supreme natural sound of Om. The joyous gods blessed the child by showering flowers from heaven on him. Hearing the glad news, the wives of 6 sages went to visit the newborn, on seeing whom their breasts began oozing milk. Kumaraswamy sucked their milk to his heart's content. The surrogate mothers could hardly bring themselves to leave the child and go back to their husbands. Brahma cherished the child Brahma christened the child Skanda. As Shiva was engaged in his love play with Parvati on Mount Kailasa, he felt the presence of Skanda before his mind's eye. Seeing her husband absent-minded, Parvati asked him the reason for his distraction. Shiva told her, "Indeed, today is the festival day for us and the entire universe. Skanda, the killer of Taraka, was born. You could not have withstood the force of the semen that conceived him. Anyway, so don't be angry with me anymore on the account. However, I grant that I will sire you through the 21 incarnations of Ganapati." The newborn Kumaraswamy was various named according to the various connotations of his conception. Skanda, Skandadi iti, because Shiva's semen was scattered or ejaculated at the sight of sage wives. Agni Bhu, because he emanated from the fire god. Gangeya, because the semen was for a while accepted by Ganga. Sarajanma, because his evolution was from semen scattered among the grass called Sara. And Kartikeya, just a minute. Kartikeya, because he was conceived in transition by 6 Kritikas, wives of sages. Parvati was pleased with Shiva's explanation and assurance, and was eager to see Skanda. She told him, "Lord Skanda is like my own child. Please send Nandi to fetch him here." Shiva was delighted with Parvati's large-heartedness and commissioned Nanda to bring Skanda to Kailasa. Nandi went to Darba jungle and told Skanda, "Prince, by seeing you, I feel my life is cantified. Shiva and Parvati are anxiously waiting your arrival at the Mount Kailasa. Come along with me." Brave deeds. The 6 Kritikas told Nandi, "Sir, how are Shiva and Parvati occupying themselves now? Don't think that Skanda is an ordinary person. His mount is mighty peacock. He is valiant hero who even as a child is capable of twisting the trunks of gigantic elephants on white mountains. He plays with the lions, taking up Shiva bow, he cut off the hilltops with his fierce arrows. He turned the huge Krancha mountain into powder and shouted with such resounding joys at his feet as to frighten and shake up the 4 corners of the earth and even cause some stars to fall from the sky. The demons on the mountain fought with him and died at his hands. When Indra flung his disc weapon at him to ward off his frightening feast, which harmed the elements, Skanda rebuked it so easily as to make the Indra weapon return to Indra and attack the latter. When Indra begged Skanda forgiveness, the latter allowed him to go unharmed. Journey to Kailasa. Skanda told Nandi, "Well, my parents have invited me after such a long while. Anyway, these six Kritikas nourished me like true mother. I don't feel like leaving them behind here. Let us take them also along with us. Now get the Pushpak airplane ready." Then the party left an aircraft singing the hymns to Lord Shiva. The gods showered flowers on the Pushpak plain. Brahma and Vishnu, accompanied by the hosts of the gods, left for Kailasha to welcome Skanda at that mount. To the messenger who conveyed the news of Skanda's arrival, Parvati presented a diamond necklace. Jaya and Vijaya, who saw the presentation, were little envious of the messenger. Judging their jealous looks correctly, Parvati chided her maids. "Forget this idiotic outlook. Skanda was born to fulfill divine purpose. It is immaterial whether I directly conceived Skanda or whether the Kritikas did so. Because it was in making love to me that Shiva's semen was extracted in the first place, Skanda is virtually my own child. So get everything ready for him, for his comfort and well-being." The maids understood their folly and did as told by Parvati. "Welcome." As the Pushpak airplane touched down on Mount Kailasa and Skanda and his 6 mothers stepped out of it, the entire populace of Shiva's realm bade them a rousing welcome and shouted, "Hail �kartikeya, hail Skanda." As the god spread roses along his path, Skanda walked up to Shiva and Parvati reciting the Vedic hymns. With hands outstretched, his parents welcomed him fondly. Skanda first followed sacred tradition, bowed to the feet of Parvati. She was not quite aware of the exact blessing she should utter, so she took him into his arms. As she did so, milk flowed out of her breast, out of her motherly love for Skanda. Skanda could then appreciate how ineffably tender the motherly heart of women in general and of Parvati in particular is. When he next fell prostrate at the feet of Shiva, the latter blessed him with words, "May you live long," and embraced him. Skanda was ecstatically gratified by the divine touch of his father. Jaya and Vijaya offered Skanda the water to clean his feet and to drink. Brahma, Vishnu, and Indra and other godly dignitaries saluted Skanda appropriately. The Gandharvas sang and Apsaras danced by way of welcoming the divine guest. Upanayanam, sacred set thread ceremony. On the very day Skanda arrived at Mount Kailasa, his parents decided upon performing his Upanayanam. The waters from the 7 seas were collected from the holy sprinkling. In the vast pandals, the 7 sages were performing the Homa sacrifice. Parvati and Shiva sat on either side of Skanda. Shiva and Parvati placed the sacred thread, 𝐂𝐸𝐿, reciting the sacred ceremonial mantra, which connotes that this primordial adornment of Lord Creator, now worn by initiate, would ensure his good health, personal splendor, and longevity. As dictated by priest, Shiva initiated Skanda into the Gayatri mantra, which prays to Supreme Spirit for the invoking of worshippers' sublime supra consciousness. Besides, Shiva taught Skanda several other martial arts and spiritual studies concerning God. Shiva honored the 6 Kritikas and other guests suitably. All assembled guests sprinkled the consecrated rice, akshatalu, on the bachelor's head and blessed him that he might lead the life of a good scholar with appropriate awareness of Brahma and befitting a Brahmana. Lord Vishnu lovingly presented Skanda with crown fitted with precious gems and golden disc and a garland of choice flowers. The sun god gave him the Manojava chariot, which has the speed of mind's flight. The moon god, the vessel of nectar, the sea god, the priceless diamonds, the Garuda bird, a beautiful peacock, the Arna deity, a gigantic dwaja, and a lovely copper ornament, while Parvati blessed him with longevity and renown, Lakshmi with luxury and wealth, and Saraswati with all learning. Devasena. Devasena is the daughter of Indra, the lord of heaven. In a dream, she saw the effulgent form of Skanda. His radiant looks stole her heart. She was determined to be his life mate. As she as she stood bashfully bending her head, she felt the presence, fell prostrate at his feet in deep reverence. Skanda embraced her adherently. Devasena shone with joyous delight. Her maids began singing the obeys. Waking up from her dream, Devasena saw no sign of Skanda. Disappointed, she accompanied her maids to the bathroom and finishing her toilet, was gossiping with them. Repentance. Here Indra was telling himself, "Foolishly I flung the Vajra weapon at Skanda. Indeed, he was magnanimous in letting me go unharmed. When I was about to be hoist with my own petard. Now it is neither weapons nor jewels that can repay my debt of gratitude to Skanda. The greatest gift I can offer Skanda is my beautiful daughter. Thereby I can also win the appreciation of his parents. Skanda is sure to accept the hand of my very accomplished daughter, else the gods would persuade him to do so. I am sure of having my wish fulfilled, for my right eye is throbbing as a sign of good omen." After his soliloquy, Indra escorted Devasena to Kailasa. None of the courtiers in the realm of Shiva detected the real reason behind escorting Devasena to Kailasa. The trinity of gods and their consorts, of course, knew all about it and were quietly smiling among themselves. Seeing Devasena, Skanda was sorry.
It's correct.
Just, yeah. Seeing Devasena, Skanda was spellbound. On her side, Devasena was equally attracted by the actual sight of handsome person she saw in her dream, and was shyly standing with him with bent head. Shiva and Parvati, who discovered the secret behind the young people's reaction, were inwardly delighted. Wedding. Skanda soliloquized. How indescribably lovely is this Devasena! Well, as she embellished with all precious jewels and the ornamental forms of makeup, I am struck with her sidelong glance of love she directs towards me, even as she remains with her head bowed. The Trinity, the seven sages and Parvati approached Devasena and Skanda. Indra placed Devasena's hands in those of Skanda. Parvati and Shiva and other guests blessed the young couple. The bride and groom bowed to the feet of Trinity, Parvati, and Indra. The gods in heaven showered flowers of benediction on them. The whole Mount Kailasa felt thrilled. The Pramata horde shouted victorious slogans. The parents and guests offered a variety of invaluable gifts to the newlywed. When Lakshmi and Saraswati offered garlands to Skanda, he appeared in his 6 heads. But when Devasena was about to garland him, he assumed the single-headed shape. Later, a grandly sumptuous wedding feast was arranged by Shiva and Parvati. The guests found that one found that day one of the most memorable of the guests found that day one of the most memorable in their lives. Once again, blessing the couple, the guests bade farewell to Shiva and Parvati and accorded to their homes. Returned to their homes. Accord. Again, the seven sages approached Lord Shiva and complained to him, Lord, you are aware of the ever increasing wild deeds of Taraka. Now that the person who is capable of killing the demon is born, please permit Skanda to do his apportioned duty. Shiva gladly agreed to do so. At his father's wedding, Skanda, accompanied by his spouse Devasena, was ready to leave for Indra's realm. Parvati blessed him to complete his mission successfully and return home safely. Skanda and Devasena together bowed to the feet of Shiva and Parvati before being escorted by Indra and Sachi Devi to the later pair's celestial kingdom. Indra commissioned the divine architect Vishwakarma to build a mighty edifice for the residency of Skanda and Devasena. Brahma and Vishnu and their spouses were invited to stay in the guest houses. Anointment, Abhisheka. The water from all sacred waters were fetched. Skanda was seated on a diamond throne. The sacred dot was placed on his bright forehead. Later, he wore silken clothes presented by the gods. After the completion of ceremonial anointment, Vishnu blessed Skanda to be the lord of whole universe. Brahma blessed Skanda to become adept in all Vedas and rule the world for the benefit of virtuous and detriment of vicious. Skanda thanked all divine hosts who honored and blessed him and promised to live up to their hopes in him. After the coronation, the guests went their way singing the praises of Skanda among themselves. Now seated in the coronation hall, Skanda invited the gods to perform the embassy that should precede in his victorious deeds. But none of them dared to come forward for the purpose and placed the entire burden of punishing Taraka on his broad shoulders. Message. The Skanda called forth Veerabahu and asked him to go to Taraka and warn the demon that unless he mends his evil ways, and went back to his Bhogavati city in Patala, netherworld, he should be prepared to meet his end at the hands of Skanda. The next morning, as Taraka assembled his court, Veerabahu went up to him and conveyed Skanda's warning to him. Rebuff. Angered by the warning of Veerabahu, Taraka said, "You foolish messenger, you repeated your lord's warning like a parrot. I am letting you go unpunished because it is not right to hurt a messenger. I have not done any harm either to Shiva or to his son, Skanda. Why should I try to fight with him? Why should they try to fight with me? In fact, the people who came in the way of Parvati's direct conception are gods. The person who flung his Vajra weapon at Skanda is Indra. How can these misdeeds be offset by Skanda's mere marrying of Indra's daughter? Anyway, I'm not worried about Skanda's warning. Even if the skies fall down, or seven seas dry up, or sun and moon fall to the ground, I'm not going to return to my kingdom, and I shall gladly face Skanda in battle. You might as well warn Skanda that I myself am a devotee of Shiva, and challenging me to fight does not do him any good. Later in the night, Skanda appeared in dream to Taraka. Saluting Skanda, Taraka said, "Dear Skanda, am I not virtually your devotee too, by virtue of being a great devotee of your own father? Uh, has it is it fair on the part of Indra to kill my father when he was fighting with the demon Vritra? Am I not therefore justified in hurting the killer of my father? Although I have high regards for you, it is not heroic to turn my back and flee from you on the battlefield. If I conquer you, I will gain eternal fame, and if you vanquish me, I shall be united with Lord Shiva. Either way, it is right that I should not heed your warning. So here are my deep respects for you. Please accept them." When he woke up, Taraka saw no sign of Skanda. Battle. As the trumpets were blaring early morning, the army of Skanda surrounded the capital of Taraka's reign, Sonitapura. Planning a strategic strange hold on the enemy's forces, the adventurous Skanda blew his conch with extreme vigor. That sound broke the hearts of demons. The commanders of Taraka's army ordered their men to fight. When Skanda was blowing his conch, Taraka was engaged in worshipping the image of Lord Shiva. He mistook that sound as coming from Lord Shiva's conch. He chided the gods thus: "Lord, art thou going back on your words? How art thou justified in calling the very person to fight whom thou hast favored with thy boon?" At that point, Taraka felt that he saw Skanda in the image of Shiva. He was perplexed. Then Taraka's wife came out to him and said, "Lord, the person who blew the conch is Skanda, not Shiva. I have reliable news that Shiva has not arrived on the battlefield. May I suggest that you do not fight with Skanda? He now has the strange hold on our forces, and when defeat is inevitable, the correct strategy is to seek a truce with the foe. Please concede the kingdom of heaven to Skanda honorably. Thereby, your renown will increase. The earthly kingdom that you reign is large enough for you." Taraka replied, "Dear, I am sorry, I cannot accept your advice. Indra is self-seeking strategist. He made Skanda his son-in-law to serve his own selfish ends. Just because he is Indra's son-in-law, should Skanda fight with me? Should he not really ask his father-in-law to seek a compromise with me, whom am a devotee of Lord Shiva? Now behave like the wife of a hero and don't advise me to run away from an honorable battle. Finishing his prayers, Taraka went out and saw the forces of Skanda surrounding his palace. Ordering his men to repulse Skanda's forces, Taraka went into the palace battlefield. Many a soldier died in the ensuing fierce fight, becoming easy prey to eagles. At the sunset, the battle for the day was stopped. The generals of Taraka's army went to consult him. After the consultation, it was decided to fight against the labyrinth formation of Skanda's forces with circular formation of their own. The night passed by inevitably. The next morning, both Skanda and Taraka offered prayers to their respective Shiva idols and eagerly went forward to the battlefield. Both the antagonists were seated in chariot and looked at each other. While Skanda was smiling, Taraka was uneasily fearing that god of death himself was facing him in form of Skanda. The arrow Taraka aimed at the feet of Skanda ricocheted and returned to its quiver. The rebound arrow whispered to Taraka's ear, "O Demon King, how innocuous you are! How I feel the divine ecstasy of touching the noble feet of Skanda. If only you too would enjoy similar bliss by falling prostrate at his feet. Even now it is not late. Don't walk into the trap the god set for you and seek truce with Skanda." Taraka replied, "Well, arrow, you yourself are ignorant one. For you do not seem to realize that if I die at the hands of Skanda, I will be united in the spirit of Lord Shiva, spirit with Lord Shiva. I will have no more rebirth, which is what every seeker of truth and salvation cherishes most. You were sanctified by touching the feet of Skanda. So should I also very much like to be." Then Taraka ordered his army to cut into pieces the soldiers of Skanda. Unable to withstand the attack from the demons and the army of gods took to their heels. At the importunate request of Indra, Skanda threw the Pashupata weapon, which forced the demons to flee hither and thither. The Pashupata weapon lets off the enemy that flees from it. Rejected and humiliated, Taraka went back into the palace. He was convinced that it is impossible to defeat Skanda. The next day, is it correct?
It is correct. The next day, Taraka.
Correct.
The next day, Taraka aimed his fiercest weapon, the Mahashakti at Skanda, who broke it into pieces with the aid of his own Brahma weapon. Thus, for 21 days, the battle continued without victory for either side. At last, Narada advised Skanda to break the idol of Shiva, which Taraka was using as the pendant around his neck, and which was till then making the demon invincible. By flinging the fire weapon Agnyastra, the sage also further suggested to Skanda to pray to the sun god to build temples out of the sacred pieces of Shiva image, which would drop from the neck of Taraka, for otherwise the image would again form itself into full-fledged necklace and adorn Taraka's neck. Accordingly, Skanda worshipped the sun god by reciting Aditya Hridaya and placed the burden of converting the image pieces into sacred shrines on his shoulders. Here again, boasting that he is also a devotee of Lord Shiva, Taraka renewed the ferocious attack on Skanda. Taraka's Maheshwara missile scared away the godly forces with its severe flames, and they took refuge behind Skanda's back. Even Skanda fell in swoon by the touch of the heat of Maheshwara missile. Taraka laughed boisterously under the impression that his was the victory, but Veerabhadra was getting ready to put an end to the demon king. However, sage Narada pursued him to desist and leave the task of killing Taraka to Skanda himself. The end of Taraka's reign. After a little while, Skanda regained consciousness. Seeing him get up, the celestial army's morale grew high. They massacred many a demon. Taraka's charmed weapons were no longer fulfilling their intended missions. Skanda broke the Shiva idol pendant around Taraka's neck into 5 pieces with his fire missile. The sun god built 5 Shaivite temples with them, which were known as Panchabhimeshwara Lingas. Taraka's strength was dwindling. At the suggestion of an aerial voice, Skanda flung the Brahma missile at Taraka. The weapon out Taraka into two separating. The weapon cut Taraka into two separating trunk from the head. The head of Taraka fell at the feet of Skanda and begged him to grant ultimate union with the spirit of Lord Shiva. Skanda was deeply moved by Taraka's valor and devotion and said, "So be it." The gods praised the bravery of Skanda and showered flowers on him. The Trinity blessed and congratulated him. They all expressed their gratitude to Indra for his hospitality. Parvati invited Skanda to return to Kailasha along with his wife. Skanda and Devasena left for the Silver Mountain. Indra sent with them number of attendants and large amount of treasures. Parvati and Shiva welcomed the newlywed with open arms. when they reached Kailasa. Sorry. Parvati led the young couple to a richly decorated huge bedroom wherein they were enjoying themselves to their heart's content. Narada's prophecy. After some time, Skanda went on hunting along with his retinue. The quarrel-loving Narada happened to see them approaching the hunting party, and after receiving their hospitality, Narada told Skanda, Lord, there is a place called Pulindapura nearby. The realm is being ruled by Bhil, tribal king. He is a devotee of Lord Shiva. He has a lovely daughter named Valli. I had an opportunity of casting her horoscope and reading her future. I want to tell you that she will be your wife before long. So saying, he vanished. Skanda was much pleased. His retinue complimented him on his good luck. After having their fun and sports in the forest, Skanda and party returned to the Silver Mountain. Devasena escorted her husband to the bathroom and helped him having a bath. After the bath, she led him to a diamond-studded seat and served him sumptuous meal. Skanda seemed to be absent-minded because his thoughts were directed towards Valli. He was wondering how he could speak to her about Narada's prophecy without hurting her feelings. Skanda said, Darling, I'm tired after hunting in the jungle and I'm not very hungry. I can't eat this heavy food. Just give me a glass of cow's milk. I will drink it and take a rest. Realizing that his husband was distracted, Devasena did so and stood near him with the dutiful obedience. Later, when she tried to fan him or apply sandalwood paste on his body in order to comfort him, Skanda appeared to be petulant and refused her services. Actually, the couple spent that night in separate beds. Dream Girl. Skanda managed to sleep restlessly before dawn. He dreamt that a bedecked and supremely lovely maiden was offering him flowers and singing and dancing for him by way of welcoming him to her. Skanda beckoned her to come near. Walking in graceful style, she moved towards him and bowed to his feet. The touch of hers thrilled Skanda, and he took her into his arms. At that moment, the early morning revival sounded, and Skanda woke up to find out that it was all dream. Devasena was still asleep. Narada's mission. Narada went to Pulindapura and was duly received by the Bhil king and his queen. Accepting his hospitality, Narada told the king, O Bhil king, where is your darling daughter? She is accomplished in all ways and extremely beautiful. She has now come of age, and you should now think about finding a suitable husband for her. The king sent for his daughter, who came to the fort and saluted the sage respectfully. The sage blessed her with the wish that she would soon be well married. The Bhil king Pulinda told sage, Sir, you are cognizant of the part and present and future. Please read my daughter's palm and tell us what sort of husband she will get and when and how. Where he is now. Narada replied, You are all lucky people. The great Skanda is going to be Valli's husband. Before long, someone in guise of a Bhil will come to you and ask for her hand. Stroll in the garden. Valli went for a stroll in pleasure garden along with her friends. Narada's words were still delightfully ringing in her ears. She was anxious to see the Shiva offspring. The singing birds and the sweet flowers were enhancing her restless longing to see Skanda. After wandering about here and there, she sat on a moonstone bench. At that juncture, there was a stir in the garden as the deer began to run hither and thither, sighting a hunter. The birds were flying higher and higher. The Malaya breeze was blowing gently. Valli felt some good omen. She could then hear the whispers of Skanda's retinue from behind the bushes. She was reminded of the sage's prophecy and eagerly waiting the approach of Skanda. Skanda, in the guise of Bhil, came forward after instructing his men to stay behind the bushes. Valli hid herself behind her maids and was stealing sidelong glances at Skanda from between their ranks. Witty conversation. Valli's maids were well versed in their ways of the world and greeted the false hunter thus, Sir, you look like a stranger. We are surprised at your manners. You not only entered a private garden with our permission, but also stealing amorous glances at our princess. You seem to be unaware of the fact that no stranger is allowed into this garden. Anyway, who are you? What is your name? And who are your parents? Skanda replied, I'm not a stagopper. I started on a pleasure walk in the forest. My friends escorted me to this garden. I'm attracted by this beautiful place. My name is Skanda. My residence is Kailasa, and my parents are Shiva and Parvati. Sage Narada told me that the king of this country is great devotee of Lord Shiva and that his daughter is incomparably good looking. I just wanted to take a look at her. Now I'm very much pleased at her sight and my mission is fulfilled. So may I take my leave of you? The maid stopped him and said, Sir, you seem to be very clever. We heard that the person who killed Taraka has 6 heads. Why do you see you? Why do we see you only with single head? Are you trying to deceive us? If Lord Shiva sent word to our king, asking the hands of our princess for Skanda, would not his wish has been right away fulfilled? Because our king is an obedient devotee of his. Tell us the truth behind all the strategy of yours. As Skanda looked back, he could see Valli smiling at him and standing with quiet grace and bashfulness. Emboldened, emboldened, Skanda approached her and said, Dear Valli, you are very fortunate. Your father is going to be the brother-in-law of Lord Shiva. I know Narada's words will come true. I merely put on brother-in-law. Your father is going to be brother-in-law of Lord Shiva. Okay. I know Narada's words will come true. I merely put on this guise because I thought it was fitting to enter Bhil's realm like a Bhil. I will go back to Kailasa and speak to my father about my wish to marry you. Soon your father will hear from him. Now I'll reveal my real form, if only to satisfy the curiosity of your minds. Seeing the 6 heads of Skanda, Valli and her maids were astounded. As the maids stepped aside, Valli bowed to the feet of the resplendent Skanda. At her request, Skanda again assumed the form of a tribal. At that juncture, the Bhil king arrived on the scene. He did not accost the stranger, but took away his daughter to his palace. Pangs of separation. Disappointed with the Bhil king's action, Skanda soliloquized, even if the Bhil king and my parents acceded to my wish, how can I pacify Devasena, who may not like to share my love with another woman? Indeed, the quarrel-loving Narada put me in a fix. Anyway, I can't go back to Kailasa without taking mother look at the lovely Valli. Valli straight away went to bed. She would not touch the delicious food served by her maids. All the efforts of her friends to comfort her were in vain. At last she dozed off restlessly, and in a dream she saw Skanda, to whom she spoke. Lord, I am a helpless woman. I always obey my parents. I could not disobey my father when he took me away from your beloved presence. Nor could I find the strength to inform my father that you are the son of Lord Shiva. But I assure you, and I am completely devoted to you and will be yours till eternity. Take me and accept my gratitude for coming to me. Learning from Valli's mates about these words, which she uttered aloud in her dream, her parents were pleased. Later, Valli's parents went up to meet Skanda, who was sitting all alone on the banks of a lake in the guise of Bhil. The Bhil king apologized to him for not greeting him when he was unaware of Skanda's real identity. He also promised Skanda the hand of Valli. Skanda appreciated the king's words and said that he would gladly marry Valli. Wedding. Everything was ready for the wedding of Skanda and Valli. The whole town of Pulindapura was richly decorated. As the auspicious hour of wedding approached, the Bhil king Pulinda addressed the invited guests, Dear denizens of Pulindapura and guests, once when I was wandering in the forest, I heard the cries of an infant. Since I had no children of my own, I took her to my home and brought her up as my own daughter. All along, I was feeling that it was due to the grace of Lord Shiva that I found Valli, and now that she has grown up into nubile young woman, I was delighted to hear from the sage Narada that she would be the daughter-in-law of Lord Shiva. Please note that the bridegroom is none other than great Skanda, the offspring of Lord Shiva. Kindly bless the young couple and accept my hospitality. Then the elderly men of Bhil tribe stood at Skanda's side, and elderly Bhil women stood at the side of Valli. They offered garlands to the couple. Valli and Skanda garlanded each other. The Bhil king presented a diamond necklace to Skanda and a necklace studded with the 9 precious gems to Valli. After the priest recited the wedding hymns, the bride and groom went around the sacred fire and promised each other eternal fidelity and love. After witnessing the due pomp and pageantry befitting the wedding of a royal couple, the guests were duly honored and feasted by the Bhil king. Once again, thankfully receiving the blessing of the wedding guests, Kanda and Valli retired to their bedrooms.
Rajeshwari, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
We are reaching the end. Is there anybody who would like to read? Just raise your hand if you would. Otherwise, I'll ask Rajeshwari ji to finish it. Is there anyone who would like to read, please? Okay, Ritu ji. Rajeshwari ji, can we give the last few pages to Ritu ji? Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Ritu ji, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself, please?
I thought I'd unmuted.
Okay.
Sikandar revealed to Valli, darling, I once vanquished Indra. He then sought my forgiveness for attacking me, and as a token of his contrition, offered me his daughter's hand in marriage. I accepted the offer. She's named Devsena, and we have been living together in perfect marital bliss. She's prepared to make any sacrifice for the sake of my happiness. I never meant to leave her, but as I was wandering in the forest with my friends, Narad prophesied that you would be my second wife. My curiosity was naturally aroused, and when I actually saw you, I fell in love with you. I swear that I will conduct myself there as to keep...
No. 144, page 144.
Okay.
Never cause you
Never
any
cause
distress.
you any distress. I also assure you that Devsena will not come in the way of our mutual enjoyment. You two can live like sisters, and the Trinity and their spouses will stand by through thick and thin. Valli's broad-mindedness. Valli, instead of being offended, was really pleased with Sikandar's revelation. She was impressed by Sikandar's depiction of Devsena, generous attitude towards him, and said, Lord, I am prepared to be even a servant maid of Devsena, far from being her rival. Sikandar was much relieved to learn about Valli's cheerful acceptance of her role. Indeed, he was ashamed of his own fickleness as compared with the large-hearted attitude of his two consorts. Sikandar and Valli spent that night in complete physical and spiritual communion. Journey to Kailash. Early next morning, the young couple finished their ablution and were ready to leave for Kailash. Valli's mother handed them several rich gifts to be conveyed to Parvati and Devsena. Pulinda told Sikand, Dear son-in-law, what greater happiness do I have than offering to Lord Shiva's son the gift that the Lord himself gave me? I brought her up with utmost tenderness. I'm sure you will look after her with your highest love and affection. Kindly convey my devotional regards to your divine parents. Gratitude. Valli said, Father, you made a princess art of the foundling that I was. I shall go to my husband's home with grateful feelings of you and my mother. And I want you both to know that I will so conduct myself there as to keep up your renown and to enhance the traditional glory of the clans of both my husband and mine. Then, after bidding a tearful farewell to her parents, Vali accompanied Sikand on their journey to Kailash. Devsena learnt about the wedding of Sikand and Vali and took no offense because it was all doing of sage Narad. She was getting ready to welcome the newlywed with due grace. Shiva and Parvati were so pleased with the second wedding of their son. As Vali and Sikand reached the Silver Mountain, the Pramath hordes sounded the bugles in royal welcome. Shiva, Parvati, and Devsena, followed by their retinue, went forward to greet the newlywed with open arms. Vali and Sikand bowed to the feet of Shiva and Parvati. Parvati joked, "Son, you are indeed romantic." Sikand was mildly disconcerted. Again so, when Devsena looked at him with silent humor. As Vali bowed to Parvati, the latter blessed her. "May you live long like a chaste lady who would never be widowed." She also complimented her on finding such a divine spouse like Sikand. Vali touched the feet of Devsena in reverence, saying, "Kind lady, my wedding to Sikanda was a master-minded by sage Narad. As I have not intentionally sought it, please forgive me." Devsena embraced Vali and said that she understood everything and had no grouse against either Sikand or Vali. Looking at their friendliness, Sikand was pleased that the auspicious moment when he was married to the duo separately was provided to be worthy of its name. When Devsena bowed to Sikand, he did not know how to bless her. As he uneasily kept quiet, Devsena signaled to Vali to stand to the left of Sikand, and she herself stood on to his right. Gajasura's heart, hearing the news from the messengers, Parvati prayed to Lord Vishnu for his help. He assured her that he would bring back Lord Shiva to her. Accompanied by Brahma, Vishnu went down to Sunitapura in the guise of a mendicant entertainer who goes about with a comparisoned bull doing amusing tricks. Ganji Redu or Gangi Redu? I don't know how to spell this. As the disguised divine duo with their fancy bull were roaming the streets of Sunitapura, Gajasura sent his men to fetch them into his presence. When the false entertainers arrived at the palace gate, Gajasura asked them to display their tricks with the bull. Brahma and Vishnu sang the hymns in praise of Shiva, and the bull was dancing to their tune. Hearing the song and dance, the Shiva embedded in Gajasura's heart rose up and started inflicting pain in his throat. Realizing the success of their mission, Brahma and Vishnu were delighted as they saw the discomfiture of Gajasura, who addressed Lord Shiva thus: "Lord, why art thou squeezing my neck? Is it fair that thou should be so captivated by the entertainer's praises of thee pining for Parvati Devi's company? If thou really wantest to return to Kailash, take me along with thee, for I cannot live even a second outside of thy presence. Before me or within me, is it not to achieve perfect communion with thee that I hid thee in my heart?" Shiva replied, "O demon king, I appreciate your sincere devotion, but my place is on Mount Kailash, and besides my consort Parvati. Anyway, Your end is fast approaching, and I have to hurry back to my duty of taking care of the recreation of the living world which is annihilated in me. So make your final request, and I will honor it. Gajsura replied, I will not come in the way of the process of recreation. Not will I separate thee from Parvati. Kindly grant me communion with thy supreme spirit. As Shiva, the gods and other onlookers blessed the happy trio. When the night, is this correct? When at night the whole silver mountain was bright. The gods and other onlookers blessed the happy trio when at night the whole silver mountain
It
was...
should be
No.
148.
Yeah,
Huh?
It should be 148.
I can't hear you.
it should be 148.
148. Lord Shiva granted that Gajasura could live by his side in the form of holy rat. Oh, Gajasura felt supremely gratified and began chanting the sacred mantra Namah Shivaya. Shiva came out of him, tearing his belly. Gajasura died as a demon, was reborn as a holy rat, and followed Shiva wherever the deity went. Mount Kailash and its residents greeted the return of Lord Shiva with extreme satisfaction and jubilation. Ganpati. Parvati was having her oil bath. To protect the door of the bathroom against intruders, she formed a clay idol, poured life into it, and christened it Ganpati, Lord of the divine hosts, after embellishing it with rich ornaments. Ganpati saluted his divine mother, who suitably blessed him and ordered him not to allow anyone inside without seeking her permission. Ganpati duly stood guard at the door, wielding the staff which Parvati gave him. Meanwhile, Nandi came there to inform Parvati of Shiva's return to Kailash. Ganpati stopped him. Nandi inquired, What is she doing? Ganpati replied, She's bathing. Nandi waited for a long while and impatiently requested Ganpati to go in and tell her about Shiva's return. Ganpati said that he too was not allowed to go in unless she called him. Nandi tried to enter the bathroom but failed in his attempt. When Nandi reported his failure to him, Lord Shiva hurried to the room of Parvati in his eagerness to be reunited with her after the long separation. Outside the door, he saw Ganpati standing. Smilingly, Shiva addressed Ganpati. Sir, who are you? What is your name? Who commissioned you to keep watch here? Ganpati replied, Lord, I am the son of Parvati Devi. I think you'll have to go up. I am the son of Parvati Devi. My name is Ganpati. My mother is bathing inside and ordered me not to allow anyone in without her permission. Kindly note that this is not the opportune moment for thee to enter this room. Please wait for a little while, and thou wilt have thy wishes fulfilled. Temerity. Parvati has not yet come out of the bathroom, nor did Ganpati allow the impatient Shiva to go in. Nonetheless, Shiva's long absence from his beloved made him lose his sense of proportion. Angered by Ganpati's refusal to his entry, he asked the former to step aside. Ganpati was adamant, infuriated at his rebuff. Shiva cut Ganpati's head into pieces with his spear. Nandi witnessed the incident with glee. The severed head of Ganpati spoke to Shiva. Father, how thoughtless thou wert. Why shouldst thou have punished someone who was merely fulfilling his appointed duty. Please remember that even a deity like thee cannot escape retribution. Finishing her toilet and adorning herself fully, Parvati asked her maid to open the door. The maid saw the horrible scene and reported about it to her mistress. Crestfallen, Parvati rushed up to her bedroom and started sobbing inconsolably. The maid informed Shiva about Parvati's sorrow. Repentance. By now, Shiva was contrite. Hurrying to the bedroom, he consoled her. It was only my intense longing for you, darling, that made me lose my temper. I now regret my rash act. I quite understand the nature of mother's love that makes you so sad. Forgive me for my folly, but rest assured that I will give back Ganpati's life. So speaking, he led his consort to the outer door where Ganpati was lying with severed head. Rebirth, at the sight of his dissected Ganpati, again Parvati broke down and began to weep aloud. Ganpati was not prepared to let go his lordship over the
No,
divine.
page 1.
Oh, sorry.
Rituji.
But it's over?
Page 150. No,
Okay.
page 150. Actually, I made a mistake. There we have still a lot of pages left, but you have to read from page 150 right here.
Okay.
But Shiva ordered his men.
Yes. But Shiva ordered his men to bring the severed head of Gadsura, elephant-shaped demon, and fix it to Ganpati's trunk. Ganpati got up as though from sleep and at once bowed to his mother's feet. She blessed him to live long. She advised him to salute Shiva too. For a while, staring at Shiva, Ganpati then fell prostrate at the feet of Lord Shiva, embraced him and said, "You are verily the son who conquered his father."
Rituji, can I read few
Yes,
pages if that's
yes,
okay?
please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Upanayana, sacred thread ceremony. Shiva invited Brahma and other solar guests and performed the thread ceremony of Ganpati in strict accordance with the sculptures. Shiva himself initiated Ganpati in the Gayatri mantra. Various guests made various gifts to Ganpati. Kundika gave him a rosary, Parvati several precious jewels, Vishnu a disc weapon, and the Paramatha hoards various ornaments. Ganpati bowed to the feet of the Trinity couple. The 7 sages and others honored guests and received their blessings. Shiva took Ganpati into his arms and said, "Dear son, you will be the master of the Paramatha hoards and the deity who will be worshipped in the world in the first place, gaining precedence, even the Trinity in the eyes of the devotees. Since you were born on the 4th day of the bright fortnight of the month of Bhadrapada, that day becomes very auspicious, and they that worship you on that day will be freed from all ill. But those people who refrain from that worship will be beset by evil. As you are the deity who prevents all the obstacles that come in the way of your devotees, you will be known as Vigneshwar and Siddhivinayak. Running race. Skanda was the lord of the divine host. So Shiva and Parvati thought it would be fitting to entrust the lordship of the Paramatha hosts and their likes to Ganpati. But Skanda protested and Ganpati was not prepared to let go of his lordship over the divine hosts. Thirupana, Thiruyupan, Skanda and Ganpati approached their parents to decide the issue between them. Unable to reconcile the two brothers, Shiva thought up of a solution to the problem. He spoke to them. He, who between you return first to us, after completing a round trip of the earth, will be the Lord of divine hosts. Skanda started right away. on his peacock mount to go around the earth. The mountless Ganpati knew not how to compete with his brother. Seeing this dejected son, Shiva and Parvati suggested to him that he seek Vishnu's advice. Accordingly, Ganpati rushed up to Vishnu and respectfully requested the deity's help. Vishnu said, "Just recite Namah Shivaya for 500,000 times and go round your parents 21 times. That would amount to going around the earth." Sitting behind his parents on a seat made of durba grass, Ganpati chanted the sacred mantra as suggested by Vishnu and also went round them 21 times. Then he bestowed to them humbly and told them that he completed the trip round the earth. Later, Skanda returned after finishing his round trip. He was told by the pilgrims how Ganpati completed his round trip earlier. Skanda, instead of being disappointed, was large-heartedly enough to appreciate the wise step taken by his brother. Shiva and Parvati were satisfied with the non-acrimonious way things turned out, and so Ganpati was ceded the lordship over the divine hosts. Lordship over all divine hosts. The anointed Ganpati, as the lord of the hosts, the water of all the sacred rivers were fetched. He was embellished with various jewels made up of all precious gems. In front of all the hosts, Ganpati was sworn in as their lord. The Trinity couple and the sages blessed him and received his grateful salutations. The gods in the heaven showered flower petals on him. As the hosts were dancing in happy celebration of Ganpati's coronation, he wanted to join them, but he felt that his sacred thread was obstructing the movement of his elephant trunk head, which discomfiture of his cause good-humored amusement to the onlookers. Siddhi and Buddhi. Ganpati came of age. His parents thought it was about time he married. Vishwarupa Prajapati, who had two lovingly and clever daughters named Siddhi and Buddhi. Vishwarupa realized that these highly accomplished daughters of his would be worthy wives of Ganpati. So he journeyed to Mount Kailasha to make the necessary proposal to Lord Shiva, would-be bridegroom. Vishwarupa's eyes fell on Ganpati, and he was pleased with his looks and embellishments, the short stature, the diamond-studded necklace, the golden bracelets and anklets, silken robe, a lotus in his left hand, the sacred ashes smeared on his forehead, in the middle of which a vertically weapon-shaped crimson dot, a golden earring on his left ear, and a golden sacred thread across his trunk. He was seated on a diamond-studded throne with a golden plate on his right, on which were placed a glass of cow's milk and bunches of various kinds of sweet fruits. Vishwarupa then decided on offering the hand of his daughters to Ganpati. Accordingly, he went to Shiva and Parvati, bowed to them, and conveyed to them his intention. The divine couple suggested to him that he first seeks the permission of Ganpati, and said that if he agrees to the proposal, they had no objections. When Vishwarupa approached Ganpati with his proposal, the latter said, "I am honored by your proposal, but don't you think that the girls and I must take a look at one another before we come to a final decision? Therefore, it shall come all alone to your home. When the girls and I are pleased with one another, you can proceed with the wedding arrangements." Vishwarupa escorted Ganpati to his residence. Delighted with the hospitality according to him, Ganpati started performing a a rapturous dance. When the two girls saw him and bowed to his feet, he could discover signs of acceptance in their features. He then blessed them to the effect that their wish be fulfilled of getting soon married. Vishvarupa and his daughters were gladdened. Wedding. Vishvarupa spoke to Ganpati. Lord, by your arrival, my home was sanctified and our lives are blessed. Just as Indra and Pullinanda were each sanctified by offering Devsena and Valli respectively to Skanda. So, am I honored by your accepting my two daughters as your life mates? Now, take the hands of my daughters into your hands. Ganpati beckoned the girls towards him. Then Siddhi stood on his right and Buddhi on his left. Later, Siddhi took Ganpati's right hand and Buddhi took his left hand, and they led him to the shrine of Shiva and Parvati, where they were greeted with temple honors by the priest. Ringing the temple bells, the two brides and the bridegroom prayed to the divine couple, who aptly blessed them. Meanwhile, the Trinity and their spouses arrived there at the invitation of Vishvarupa. At the behest of Shiva, Brahma presided over the wedding ceremony and conducted the proceedings according to sculptural tradition. The newlywed was showered with rich gifts by the honored guests. Journey to Kailasha. Next morning, Ganpati left Kailasha, accompanied by his two consorts. When they reached their destination, the Paramatma and the Paramatha and Rudra hordes stood on either side of the street to shout welcoming slogans. Skanda greeted them, along with his wives, Devsena and Valli. The wives of Skanda kissed the cheeks of the wives of Ganpati as a sign of goodwill. The sound of the bugles and the shouts of the citizens hailing "Long live Ganpati, Siddhi and Buddhi" were resound on all sides. Skanda escorted the newlyweds to the presence of Lord Shiva. As he was waiting at the threshold of his castle side to receive them, the divine couple blessed them duly as Ganpati and his consorts touched their feet in their reverential salutation. Jaya and Vijaya offered the newlywed Aarti and led them into the interior of the palace. Shiva honored the male guest and Parvati, the lady guest, with appropriate gifts. Narada and Tumbura sang melodiously and the Apsaras danced delectably in the honor of the newlywed. Shiva and Parvati were pleased that their two sons were well married. All the divine couples were spending their time in well-ordered pleasures and doing their best for the benefit of mankind through precepts and example. Shiv Purana Part 2. Killing of Tripurasura. Tripurasura has three sons: Tarakaksha, Kamalaksha, and Vidyunmali. After the death of Tarakasura, his wife took these children down to the nether world and brought them up with great care. The teacher of the demonic race, Shukracharya, taught them all the important arts and science. When they grew up, the three brothers went upon the Mount Meru and worshipped Brahma, who was pleased with their devotion and offered them any favor they sought of him. The brothers said, "Lord, let our death be at the hands of only such a hero as can ride a chariot, which is not a chariot, wield a bow, and an arrow, which is neither. Besides, grant us that we remain ever prosperous and ever devoted to Lord Shiva, and that we are variously we can variously live in the cities built of gold, silver, and magnet. Accordingly, Brahma ordered the divine architect Vishwakarma to build the 3 cities, Tripura, as requested by the brothers. Tarakaksha was ceded the city of gold, Kamalaksha that of silver, and Vidyumali that of magnet. The 3 brothers knew that the cause of their father's death was their enmity of the gods. Their mother's instruction is that the connection furthered their grudge against the gods. So they began persecuting the ranks of the gods, who thereupon went up to Lord Vishnu accompanied by Brahma and sought his successors. Vishnu told them, the Tripusuras are great devotees of Lord Shiva. I will suggest to you a method through which you can see that the power of their penance decreases. Go and preach atheism. By coming under the influence, the wisdom and the sense of devotion among the demonic races will diminish. Then their misdeeds will increase and they will be counting their own disaster because of their sins. Later, in the halls of the demons, the atheists preached, O citizens, in the process of creation, there is no question of predestination or righteous actions. The relationships among the creatures and the differences of the sexes are all false, having nothing to do with the divine creature. The Trinity of gods are creatures like ourselves and are in no way superior to us. It was only self-seeking scribes who postulated the theories of vice and virtue and called them codes. Do not believe in them. There is neither God nor a rebirth. Just enjoy yourself as you please. For there is neither heaven nor hell, and this life alone is real. The 3 sons of Tarka were immediately influenced by the tenets of atheism. They and their followers began relinquishing all good deeds and prescribed duties. Consequently, the powers of the boons granted to them were evaporating like the dew in the morning sun. Realizing that the opportune moment has come, Brahma, Vishnu, and the gods went to meet Lord Shiva at Kailasha and to report to him the happenings engineered by the demons. Lord Shiva is omniscient. He was quite willing to destroy not only the 3 cities, but all the 3 brothers. At this suggestion, Vishnu made of his consort Mother Earth a chariot of the sun and the moon, the 2 wheels of the chariot, of the Vedas horses, of the Brahma the charioteer, of the Mount Meru the bow, of the divine serpent Shesha the bowstring, and of himself the Narayana arrow. Then he requested Shiva to ascend the chariot and cast the Narayana Astra at the 3 cities and their rulers, in order to destroy both the places and the persons at one stroke. Lord Shiva did so, and that was the end of Tripura cities and the brothers, as the weapon made a sacrifice of them to the fire god. The dying brothers appealed to Shiva, Lord, forgive our foolish deeds. It is our good fortune that we should die at your hands. We will be now united with your spirit. Our last wish is that you grant us no rebirth. We see our Father securely embedded in your heart. Please set us by his side. Shiva accepted them and allowed them into his spiritual heart. Should we end there here today, or Lippy, what do you say? Should we continue?
Whatever everybody wishes.
We can end today and continue. Sorry,
Yeah.
somebody was saying. Is that okay? Okay. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we should start from here only tomorrow, Jalandhara,
Yeah.
page 157, and we'll meet at the same time, same link. And an
Okay.
email will also be sent if in case there is a change, or even if there's no change, then email will be sent.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye,
Om
everybody.
Namah Shivaya.
Thank you.
Om
Good
Namah
night.
Shivaya.
Take care.
Om Namah
Har Har
Shivaya.
Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev.
Rajat, could you please end the meeting? Are you there?
I think he
He's there. Let me just call him.
left. I will do it. I will do it.
Okay.
Stop the recording.